Marissa was waiting at her usual bus stop on a crisp, quiet morning when something extraordinary and completely unexpected happened. Out of the bushes nearby, a wild black bear appeared and began slowly approaching her. She froze, her heart racing with fear as she recalled all the stories she'd heard about how dangerous wild animals, especially bears, could be. Instinct screamed at her to flee, but something about the bear's movements held her still. It wasn't charging at her, nor did it appear aggressive. Instead, it simply stood there, watching her with a gaze that seemed more curious than hostile. Her initial terror gradually gave way to a mix of wonder and confusion. She had never seen a bear this close, and despite the natural instinct to keep her distance, she couldn't shake the strange feeling that it wasn't there to harm her. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. Slowly, almost hesitantly, she took a step toward the bear, and to her surprise, it didn't react defensively. Instead, it gave her a soft grunt and then took a few steps back, pausing to look over its shoulder as if beckoning her to follow. Marissa couldn't quite understand it, but something deep within her sensed that the bear needed her help. A few passers-by at the bus stop saw the scene unfolding and began to shout in alarm. "Run, get away from that animal," they yelled, horrified by Marissa's calm response to the bear's presence. But Marissa felt an inexplicable compulsion to ignore their warnings. She took a deep breath and murmured to herself, "All right, let's do this." She stepped off the sidewalk and cautiously followed the bear into the dense forest that bordered the street. Once she left the open sidewalk behind, Marissa found herself surrounded by towering trees and thick underbrush. She glanced over her shoulder, but the bustling world of the city felt miles away now, even though she'd only taken a few steps. All she could see were trees and leaves. The sounds of traffic faded into the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds. Her nerves tingled with both fear and curiosity as she realized that she was now alone with the bear, separated from anyone who might have helped if the situation took a turn for the worse. Despite the eerie setting, the bear continued to walk at a steady pace, glancing back occasionally to ensure Marissa was still following. Every so often it would pause, sniff the air, and then give her a look that seemed almost patient. Marissa couldn't believe she was doing this, but something about the animal's calm presence made her feel safe. She began to wonder what could have driven the bear to approach her in such an unusual manner. Was it injured? Or was there something deeper and more mysterious at play here? As they ventured deeper into the woods, Marissa noticed that the day was growing darker. Shadows from the thick tree canopy cloaked the forest floor in an otherworldly dimness, and she realized she hadn't told anyone about her sudden change of plans. She was supposed to go to the library to study, but here she was, following a bear into the woods. Trying to be cautious, she quickly pulled out her phone and shared her location with her boyfriend, Derek, along with a short text, "Just in case, I'll explain later." She knew it was a risky move, and it would have sounded crazy if she'd tried to explain it to him over text. But somehow, knowing that Derek had a rough idea of where she was gave her a bit of comfort as she continued to follow the bear's slow but steady lead. The deeper they went, the more intrigued Marissa became. The bear didn't appear hurt or in distress, so what could be the reason behind this unusual journey? Just when she thought they would keep walking indefinitely, the bear slowed its pace, sniffing the air and glancing around as if searching for something. It let out a low growl, startling Marissa, who had begun to relax a bit too much. Her heart started racing again, and she wondered if she'd made a mistake in trusting the animal. But the bear's growl wasn't directed at her. It seemed to be focused on something hidden behind a large, ancient tree a few yards ahead. Marissa hesitated, caught between fear and a strong urge to understand what was going on. Gathering her courage, she took a few cautious steps closer and peeked around the tree. There, tucked into a small clearing, she found a deserted campsite. A tent stood open, its fabric partially torn as though someone had left in a rush. A small campfire lay cold and dead, with ash and charred wood scattered around. Nearby, scattered supplies lay haphazardly on the ground, a backpack, a few cans of food, and some clothing. Curiosity took hold of her as she began to look through the abandoned items. She wondered who had set up camp here and why they had left in such a hurry. As she searched, her hand brushed against a small, polished locket with a picture of a family inside. Next to it, she found an old camera with a half-filled memory card. The scene felt strange, almost like a story half told, and Marissa felt herself drawn deeper into the mystery of this deserted campsite. Throughout her search, the bear stayed nearby, its intense gaze fixed on her every move. It was as if it wanted her to find something, to piece together a story that only it could not communicate. Then she stumbled upon a diary, its leather cover embossed with a bear. The pages inside were filled with careful, almost reverent handwriting, detailing a lone traveler's experiences and observations of the wilderness. The early entries painted a picture of awe and wonder as the traveler described his love for the forest and the thrill of living so close to nature. Marissa was touched by his words. It seemed as though this person had come to the forest seeking solace, beauty, and perhaps some answers of his own. But as she read further, the tone shifted. The traveler began to write obsessively about bears, especially about a rare white-furred bear cub he'd heard rumors of. He seemed determined to find and document this unusual animal, believing it would be a breakthrough discovery. The diary entries became increasingly unsettling as Marissa flipped through the pages. The traveler's fascination with the bears had turned into something much darker, an obsession. He wrote of setting up traps, of watching the bear's movements, and of his plans to capture the white cub on film. His notes grew erratic, filled with diagrams of traps and instructions for sedatives, all aimed at securing this elusive creature for his documentary. Marissa's heart sank as she realized the depths of his ambition. He was willing to go to extreme, even unethical lengths to capture the cub, driven by a desire for recognition rather than a genuine respect for wildlife. As she reached the final pages, Marissa discovered a chilling entry dated just 2 days ago. The traveler had written about setting traps, saying, "Tomorrow is the day. The bait is ready, the cameras are in place. Once I have the cub, I'll leave before anyone finds out. This will be my legacy." Marissa's fingers shook as she closed the diary. The bear's insistence on bringing her here suddenly made perfect sense. It wasn't random at all. This bear was the mother of the white cub, and it had sought out Marissa as its last hope to protect its child. Marissa's heart swelled with resolve. She realized the trust the bear had placed in her, and she knew she couldn't abandon it now. Carefully, she examined the maps and notes in the diary, looking for any clue as to where the traps might be located. The mother bear stayed close, watching her with an almost human-like expression of worry. It was clear that time was running out. As Marissa ventured deeper into the woods with the bear by her side, she became acutely aware of the forest around her. The sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves took on a heightened significance, grounding her in the moment as she navigated through the trees. Following the hints in the diary, she eventually heard a faint whimper in the distance, a sound so delicate she almost missed it. It was the cry of a young cub. Her heart pounding, Marissa quickened her pace, the bear close beside her, guiding her through the thickets. After a few minutes, they stumbled upon a small clearing where, ensnared in one of the traveler's traps, lay the white-furred cub. Its tiny body shivered with fear, and its cries tore at Marissa's heart. Carefully, she approached the trap, trying to calm the cub with soothing whispers as she worked to free it. Finally, she managed to pry the trap open, and the cub, though hesitant at first, scampered out and ran straight to its mother. The reunion between the two bears was deeply moving. Marissa felt as though she was witnessing a moment of pure, unspoken love and relief. The mother bear nuzzled her cub gently, conveying a sense of protection and gratitude that transcended language. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the forest, Marissa watched the two bears as they turned and disappeared into the woods. She knew she had witnessed something profound, an encounter that had changed her forever. The experience left her with a newfound respect for the bonds of family and the resilience of nature. The mother bear's trust in her and the responsibility she'd felt in that moment was a reminder that humans and animals could connect on a level beyond words. When she finally made her way out of the forest, Marissa felt different, transformed by the silent understanding she had shared with the mother bear. She returned to her life with a profound sense of purpose, vowing to protect and honor the natural world in whatever way she could.